All right, welcome back to the Swift channel. Today I'm going to show you how to build out a header view similar to the Twitter profile header view. And we're going to be doing this with AutoLayout Constraints. And there's going to be a couple more videos after this to complete it. But this video will get you a really solid understanding of basic AutoLayout Constraints. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. So stick around and let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so this is the app that we're going to be building right here on the right, this red one. So very, very simple, not Twitter. This header view is similar to the Twitter header view, and that's what we're going to be building with AutoLayout Constraints. Now, in Twitter, if you pull down, it loads up. We're not doing that. I'll do that in a later video. But for the purposes of this video, which is going to be to cover AutoLayout Constraints programmatically, I'm going to be building out this simple version of the header view to kind of just give you an understanding of basic auto layout constraints with pure code and take your first step away from storyboards because they're from the devil himself. So let's go ahead and get started coding. I'm going to exit out a QuickTime here. I just did this to show you kind of what I was going for right here and where I got this idea. It's just Twitter. If you want to follow me, it's at maxcodes1. But yeah, I'm going to open up Xcode. And I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to choose single view app, and I'm just going to say auto layout header or something. Because again, the point of this is to create a basic app that can teach you how to use auto layout constraints in your app without storyboards. Okay. Now, we don't have to get rid of our main.storyboard, but if you want to know how to do that, because some of you have probably tried to delete it and then it crashes. All you have to do is delete it, main.storyboard, so delete your main.storyboard file, and then go into info.plist, okay? Again, info.plist, and then in info.plist we have, where is it? It is right here, main storyboard file base name, okay? Go ahead and delete this from your info.plist, and you're good to go. You can compile this now on the iPhone XR simulator, and it's not going to crash, but it's going to have a blank black screen because there's no view controller associated with our app now, even though there's one right here in viewcontroller.swift, okay? So here's our application. It's a blank black screen. There's literally nothing going on in our application right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand Xcode, and we're going to go ahead and get started once and for all, okay? So let me just delete this comment and increase the font just a tiny bit more, and we're ready to go. So in viewcontroller.swift, let's just say view.background color is equal to .red, okay? Reload your application, and you're going to notice a problem, and that problem is that it's still black, okay? The background color is still black, right? We want it to be red, not just blank, okay? So let's go ahead and go to appdelegate.swift, and let's get rid of this comment. And let's just say window is equal to UI window, and then we're going to say window square question mark dot make key and visible, and then we're going to say window dot root view controller is equal to view controller. Make sure you call view controller starting with the V, no UI, just view controller. Okay. What this is going to do is it's going to take our view controller.swift and put it as the root view controller of our application. Okay, so go ahead and reload your application now, recompile it, and you'll see now that having added these 3 lines of code in our app delegate, we get our view controller here. So that's all we need to do in the app delegate. Let's go ahead and actually start coding the constraints now, okay? So what I want to do is I want to create let's create an extra class. And let's call this class header view, okay? And we'll just make this of type UI view, and then we're gonna give it its initializer. If you try and compile this, it's gonna give us an error saying we haven't provided an initializer. Well, that's if we use it. Let's say this, let's say init, and it's gonna say frame, so that first one, or just type that out, and then say super.init, and then choose the one with frame, and then pass in frame, okay? So make sure you get this code in here, lines 11 through 15. And then you're going to get this kind of error here, okay? Just click that and then hit fix, or just type this in, what you see right here that just popped in, and it will work, okay? So you just need to get in all this code right here. Okay, so once you've got that code in, let's go ahead and go down here and let's say let header view with a lowercase h is equal to header view. Okay, and the next thing you're going to want to do is just pass in, let's not do a frame because normally we do a frame. In this case, we want to use AutoLayout constraints. Okay, now in order to use AutoLayout constraints, we have to say header view dot translates. Okay, let's see. Oh, I called the class header view dot translates auto resizing mask into constraints. Okay, it's saying a Boolean value that determines whether the view's auto resizing mask is translated into auto layout blah 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 blah. Right. So basically, what it's saying here is if we want to use auto layout, we have to set that to true. Okay, and then now, or is it false? Next thing we're going to do is say header view dot top anchor dot constraint, and then let's choose this. Let's choose this one right here. Okay, and then we're going to say view dot top anchor. Okay, now let me just pull the simulator aside and then make this a bit bigger. Okay, and then for constant, I'm just going to put 0, and then dot is active is equal to true. Okay, so get this line in, and then we're going to say header view dot left anchor dot constraint, and we're going to do the same thing except we're going to say, as you can imagine, left anchor. We're going to apply it to the left anchor of our view. Okay, and then we're going to say constant 0 is active is true. And then you can kind of see where this is going. We want to do the right anchor and then the height anchor. Okay, so let's say header view dot height anchor, no, right anchor dot constraint is equal to, and we'll say view dot right anchor, and then we'll say constant 0, and then we'll say dot is active is true. Okay, next thing we want to do is say header view dot height anchor dot constraint is equal to constant, and we'll say 200 or something, right? And then we'll say dot is active is true. Okay, so go ahead, and before you recompile it, what you have to do is add it to the sub view first, or this is going to crash. Or the views, we have to add it to the views, sub views. Okay, so say view dot add sub view, and we'll say header view. Okay, now make sure you put that line above your anchor constraints, or it's going to crash because we're trying to activate constraints to basically we're trying to activate non-existent constraints. Okay, so as you can see, we can't see anything, and that's because we have a blank header view. This doesn't have a background color. So if we go up into our header view initializer, override init, and we say self.background color is equal to dot cyan or something, and we reload our application, we're going to see a cyan kind of background. Okay, so yeah, that's looking good. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to get in our image and make sure that that's looking good. Okay, so I don't have any images on hand except for my profile picture, so I'm going to use this one, just my profile picture for both of the pictures. But basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into your assets.xcode assets folder here and just drag in a couple images. Okay, now I got a warning, but I'm not going to worry about it because I don't think it's going to do anything because it's just a warning. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to basically add in a image view for our header view. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say let header image, or we'll say let header image is equal to UI image view, and then we're going to choose the image initializer and then say UI image, and then in there we're going to select the one that has named, and then I'm just going to say max or whatever I called it, or you can use an image literal. Usually I use an image literal, but basically just throw this in there and we should be good. Okay, now let's go ahead and add it to the sub view and then apply some constraints. Okay, so let's say header image dot translates auto resizing mask into constraints is equal to false. Okay, because we don't want to translate the auto resizing mask into constraints. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to say self dot add sub view is header image. Okay, and then let's go ahead and go down here and let's just copy these entire constraints here and let's throw them into our header view class initializer. Okay, and then obviously we have to change header view to header image instead of header view. So change all of those to header image instead of header view. And then the next thing we need to do is not say view, we need to say self. So change these all to self. And then for the hide anchor, we're just going to say 100, okay? So basically what we're going to expect is an image view that covers about half of our header view here, okay? So again, just make sure that this all looks like what you have in your editor. Go ahead and pause the video and get this all in, and you should be good. And if you didn't get something below here in our view controller, go ahead and pause it right now and you can put this all in, okay? All right, so that should be good. Now, as you can see, this is what we've got here, right? Now, this looks kind of weird because we don't have some image settings set on our image view. So what we need to do is go right here on line 19 and say header image, and then we'll say dot, and we'll say content mode is equal to dot scale aspect fill, okay? Now, what this is gonna do is it's gonna scale it to the original aspect ratio, but it's also going to fill the container, right? If we did scale aspect fit, it would do the original one, except for it would basically squeeze it down into its original size, right? As you can see here, it's not doing that. It's actually overflowing. Now, that's because we're filling it. Now, to get this to go away, all we have to do is clip the bounds. So we need to say header image dot clips to bounds is equal to true. Okay, go ahead. That was my speaker. Sorry about that. Go ahead and say header image dot clips to bound is true, and then reload your app, and you're gonna see it kind of works better now. Okay. Now this is gonna look different depending on your image. Mine looks kind of freaking weird because my mouth is like sitting out there, and I don't like that at all. But I actually think I have one in my downloads, so I'm gonna pull a image out of my downloads and throw that in there. Oh, that's convenient. I have one called header. What I'm going to do is change this to header. You don't have to do this. I'm just changing my image. And then I'm going to go in here and delete this max picture, and I'm going to throw in a header.jpg. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to hit play, and you're going to see a nice header on my screen. Okay, that's completely optional. I just wanted to make it look a little better. Okay, so that looks a lot better, although I think it's a bit too short. I think on the original Twitter one, it goes down to about half of the mute button that you got here. That's cool. I didn't know you could click that one. But anyway, I mean, it would make sense to simulator, but whatever. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say that this is about 120 pixels now, and I'm going to reload our application on our header image hide anchor. And as you can see, just as this is loading, I want to talk. As you can see, this is getting really kind of messy. Like every time we add a view, we have to have 4 nasty lines of code, right? And it's just a lot. So I'm going to create a video and I'm going to upload it like tomorrow or something. And it's basically going to show you how to do auto layout constraints with functions, right? I'm going to create a bunch of convenient functions and show you guys how to create those. So we only have to do this. We can do this in like 1 line or something. And then that function is going to include translates, auto resizing, mask, and constraints, and all that nasty stuff. But it's going to be really valuable. So just tune into that or look in the description. It's probably already there if you're watching this. But anyway, yeah, that's looking nice. So the next step is to pull this down a bit. So let's go down to 49, line 49-ish, and let's change this to 180 or 160. Let's say 165, and let's reload our app. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm just making that header view a little bit shorter because it's a little too tall. Okay. All right, so that's looking really good. Looks very similar to what you see in Twitter. Go ahead and go to my profile at maxcodes1, and you can see that it's very similar to this. Okay, so what we're going to do now is add in the header image view, or the header profile image view. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to copy all this header image stuff, and let's go down here and paste it right here. And then I'm just going to change this to profile image, and then I'm going to change that, and that, and that, and then I'm going to, I guess I had freaking max in my deal. I'm going to add that back in. I'm so dumb. All right, so yeah, get that typed in. I'm going to throw in this image for my profile. Okay, view controller. I'm going to call this max. And then, yeah, we should be good, except for we're not going to see it. Okay, because we haven't defined any auto layout constraints. So what we need to do before we compile this is copy our constraints again. Well, these are going to be pretty different, so let's just type them out. Let's say profile image dot left anchor dot constraint is equal to self dot left anchor, and then the catch here is that we're going to add in like 25 pixels here, and then we're going to say dot is active is set to true. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm saying, okay, put it to the left, but throw it to the right 25 pixels. So that's cool. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to say profile image dot bottom anchor dot constraint is equal to no initializer, so I'll just type it out, is equal to self dot bottom anchor, and then we'll say constant is also 25, and we'll say dot is active is equal to true, and then we're going to say profile image dot height anchor dot constraint is equal to about 40 pixels. That's probably a little too much, but we'll see. Is active is set to true, and then we'll say profile image dot width anchor dot constraint is equal to 40 dot is active is equal to true. Okay, now we can go ahead and reload our application, and if we've written this all correctly, we're going to see that image view like we would see in Twitter, on Twitter at maxcodes1, that plug. All right, anyway, yeah, so it looks a little junky, right? Now the reason it's pulled down and not up, that 40 pixels or 25 pixels here, is because it's a little strange, and basically what we need to do is say minus 25 on line 35 on my screen, because we need to pull it up 25 pixels. Okay, so it's going to do that for bottom and right anchors, but for left and top we're going to add, right? So that's probably really confusing. You probably don't understand, maybe, I don't know, maybe you do, but I just want to make it clear that if it seems confusing now, just keep doing these videos, keep watching my videos on auto layout constraints, and just keep learning auto layout constraints in code, and eventually you'll understand why that is. Now it's really obvious, so maybe I'm stupid and it just took me forever to understand why it did that, but hopefully you understand sooner than I did. Okay, so I'm gonna make it a bit bigger, so not 25, 35 there. I'm gonna say down here I want to put this to 60 and 60. Okay, now that's just going to make it bigger so we can continue talking. The next thing we need to do is we need to make it a circle. Okay, now that's pretty easy. All we have to do is set the corner radius to basically half the width and height, and it's going to make it into a circle. Okay, so we'll say profile image dot layer dot corner radius is equal to 30. The reason we're doing 30 is because we've made the width and height 60 pixels. So by making it 30, it's going to make it a perfect circle. Okay, so if we reload our application, you're going to see that. Come on, let's go, phone. All right, it's perfect circle. It looks really nice. Now I think it's a little bit too high, so let's pull it down a bit by basically just reducing the amount on the constant here for the bottom anchor. I'm going to change it to 15 and see what that looks like. Okay, now that's pretty obvious what that's going to do, but let's go ahead and start typing profile image, and then I'm going to say dot layer. No. Here's what we're going to, dot layer. All right, so it pulled it down and it looks a lot better. And we're going to say dot layer dot border width is equal to 2, and then we'll say profile image dot layer dot border color is equal to dot red. Okay, now the reason you have to say border width is because if you just say border color, it's just not going to show anything because the width is default to 0 on the border, so we have to say that the border width is 2. Now we got this error saying CG color has no member red, so what we need to do is say UI color dot red, because dot red is a UI color, and then we just need to say dot CG color. So we're getting the CG color reference out of that UI color instance. Okay, so yeah, that should look good. Now it's going to look a little strange because our background on our header view is cyan, right? So what we need to do is get rid of that cyan, or just make it dot red up here, and then it's going to look a little bit cleaner, kind of like it does in the Twitter app. Again, I'd really suggest just opening the Twitter app and looking at it, because it's you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, how it just kind of blends in. I'm actually going to make that border with 4 even. Okay, so we have one more thing to add before we can end the video, and that is the edit button. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create an, that looks really clean. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create an edit button by going down here to the bottom of our header view class initializer, and we're going to say let edit profile is equal to UI button, and then we'll say edit profile dot set title, and we'll say edit profile. In the Twitter app it says edit profile. I think it says it with a lowercase p. I may be wrong, but and then for control state we'll just say normal. I don't even know what that does, but I'll study it and make a video on it. The for parameter. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add some constraints because we need to give it a width and height and constrain it to the right. Okay, so basically we're gonna do exactly what we did with the profile image except for on the right. So let's copy those constraints. And before we paste them, let's just say edit profile dot translates auto resizing mask into constraints is equal to false. And then we'll paste it. And then we'll change this profile image to edit profile. And then clearly we're gonna have to move the left and bottom ones. So we're gonna, or just the left one, we're gonna say right anchor. And then here comes in a good opportunity to talk about the constant a bit. Okay, so I changed this to right anchor and right anchor. We're gonna have to change this to -25 because if we leave it as 25, basically what it's gonna do is it's gonna push it over off the screen like halfway or something. So if you wanna try that out, you can, but I'm not going to. Okay, so if we reload our application, we might see just the text over there. If we see anything, that's what we're gonna see. Let's go ahead and see. Okay, it looks like we got an error. I'm actually kind of excited because we haven't gotten an error, a compilation error yet. Okay, so the reason this happened is because we didn't add it to the sub view. So again, this is another thing I really wanted to point out is that if you set auto layout constraints before you add the sub view, or if you don't add it to the sub view, it's not going to work. It's not going to compile because you're basically saying take these constraints of this view and constrain them to something that exists on the screen. And if they don't exist on the screen, it's kind of a problem. Okay, so as you can see, it's a little too crunched up together. So what we need to do is change our width anchor to something like, let's just say 120, and then we should be good. Okay. And then we don't really want it so far up from the bottom. So we'll just say -5 on the bottom anchor. And we will recompile our application there. And as you can see, that looks really nice. I think we should go as far as even just saying 0 on the bottom anchor, okay? Now to get our little like border radius and all that junk around our edit profile, let's just go ahead and copy all of this on profile image. Clips to bounds, corner radius, corner border width, and border color. And let's paste it under edit profile, all of our stuff here. And let's change these all to edit profile. And then let's change the border color to just white. And then let's reload our application. And it should look good. And it's actually gonna work perfect with our corner radius because it's gonna give it that kind of perfect half circle effect on the side because it's 30 still. Okay, so that looks good except for the height is a little too much. So let's go ahead and change our height anchor to about 26. And let's change our, no, let's change it to 34. I think that's probably a better measurement. I think that's what I did when I created it. I'm not sure. But basically what we're gonna do is change the corner radius now to half of that. So that's gonna be 15, 17. Let's reload our application and we're gonna see now that we have a nice button. Okay, now last thing I'd wanna do is change the border width here to 2. And then maybe bust it up like 5 pixels down here on the bottom anchor. And we should be good. So I'm going to recompile that one more time. And I think we're good to go. All right, sweet. So that's our application. And as you can see, we're done with this video. But as you can see, there's kind of a problem with all of these constraints. And it's that they're taking up a lot of lines of code and it gets really messy. So I'm going to end the video here, but I'm going to create another video, and that video is going to cover how to create cool functions with auto layout constraints, okay? Or not with them, but to create auto layout constraints really fast and easy so that we only have to write something like this once, and then we can basically apply things to our views with programmatic auto layout constraints really quickly and easily. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. Go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and please leave a comment on this video just saying what you'd like to see, any criticism. Hit that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Catch you later. Bye.